All right, so your library assignment, it's in Canvas right now, so you can download a PDF of it. You will have access to that. So what you're going to be asked to do is you're going to be asked to find articles that satisfy the requirements. So there's 4 questions. You're going to find 5 articles, but they have to satisfy certain requirements. So the first one is you need to find the most cited article that is about or regarding reconstructive memory. And the clue for you is that this article cited Dease, 1959. So Dease, 1959 is a paper. It was a memory recall paper. It's available in Canvas in the research paper resources folder. You can now just download the Dease PDF. It is, and we'll talk about this a few times this semester, it's not well written. And it was basically a groundbreaking article that should have moved psychology forward immensely, but unfortunately was buried because it just was not written well. And scientists are humans, and when we come across something that is difficult to muddle through, chances are we'll miss the point or maybe not even read it. There was another article that came later that broke open the floodgates on reconstructive memory research, and that article cited Dease. So that's your first clue. You need to find this one article, the most cited article, and your clue is that that article actually cited Dease. So we'll see how to use the databases to answer this to find that one particular article. When you're handing these in, and this is very important, you have to name your article the question number that it's the answer to, and then whatever you want to name it. So whatever article you find, name that when you submit the PDF files. Name that 1-, and then whatever name you want to choose it, that 1- is what's going to tell me that this is your answer for question 1. Because you're handing in 5 articles, and I cannot determine sometimes which one is in response to which part of the library assignment. So make sure you're using the naming convention. There will be points for doing that correctly. All right, so number 2, the second article you're going to find. You got to find one more recent primary research article. So remember how to identify a primary research article. You're looking for subjects, characteristics in the methods. You're looking for statistics with a lot of jargon. You're looking for primary research articles about reconstructive memory. So this one is open. It's just within the last 10 years. And this one is completely up to you. So different students will hand in different articles that they found. This one, if you find one that aligns with your own personal interest in psychology, feel free to do that. So if you find a developmental paper that is about reconstructive memory, awesome if that's what you want to do. If you find one on autism that is reconstructive, that's great. Whatever you find, it just has to be recent. It has to be within the last 10 years. Number 3 is more straightforward. Just find Weldon and Bellinger's 1997 article. So no title, no journal, but enough information. So this is kind of the situation that you encounter when you're working off a citation. So if you read a citation, it'll say Weldon and Bellinger 1997. Is that enough to find it? Yes, it is, and you'll find out how. And again, this is the 3rd article, so name that 3- and then whatever you want to name it. And then finally, for the 4th question, you're going to find 2 articles. These articles have to either be highly cited or they need to be recent. So it's very difficult to get both of those. You don't need both, right? It takes years to get citations occasionally. Recently published articles in 2019 couldn't possibly have a citation because they've just gotten published. It takes about a year in the publication cycle for papers to come out. So either something that's classic and highly cited, or something that just came out, primary research that is about group memory, and you got to find 2 of those. So name one for A, whatever you want to call it, name one for B, whatever you want to call it, and you will be submitting a total of 5 articles. You will be submitting the PDFs. So we're not submitting links to where these articles are. We're not submitting just the reference information, like, oh, this is the title and this is the author. You have to actually download the PDF and then upload that through Canvas in Canvas assignments. And so make sure that when it's asking for recent, you got it recent. Make sure that when it's asking for highly cited, you got it highly cited. And again, for is or. So they can both be recent, or they can both be old and highly cited, or you can have one highly cited, one recent. Whatever it is, they just need to satisfy that criteria. All right, any questions about the kind of what the library assignment is asking? All right, so citations and references. You'll see that a lot of this has to do with citations and references. So let's talk about that a little bit. Citations are the sources that you used. There it is. So, references are the sources that you used in your article. So when somebody says, oh, does this article have a lot of references? What they're asking is, does that article have a lot of information or a lot of background literature that it used in order to write the article? So the references are the sources that are going to be used in your article. Citations are the articles that use your article as a source. So when I say that a paper has 30 citations, what I mean is that 30 other published articles included that article in their reference section. They mentioned that article in their work. They mentioned that article in their publication. So once you know this, you can start using citations and references in order to very quickly help you evaluate certain articles, right? It can be used as a shortcut. If you're not familiar with an area, if you're trying to find new research, this can really help you, because if you take a look at the reference section, if you open up a PDF and you just go to the reference section, when you become familiar with an area, even just a little familiar, you'll start to know what the classic papers are. You'll start to know what the classic researchers are. And you can take a look for them in the references. And the better the sources are, that typically, not always, it's a shortcut, but that typically indicates a better article. So if I'm looking at a group memory research paper, I'll go to the reference section and I'll look for Weldon and Bellinger. And if I don't find Weldon and Bellinger, that tells me probably down a notch, right? Because Weldon and Bellinger is a classic piece of group memory literature. If you're not mentioning it, that is an indication that maybe your research has not been as thorough. So references can help you navigate, and then citations can also help you navigate an area, and they're extremely powerful because if you can use citations to search for your articles, and we'll see how to do that on the library visit, the more citations typically indicates a more important article. Important is a big word there. Usually it's better, but sometimes controversial articles that are not very good, will get highly cited just because people will cite them in as saying, this article was horrible, Smith and Smith, 1942 or something like that. So sometimes, you get a bad article that's highly cited just because everybody's talking about it, but usually it means that it's a very important article. So if you can search by citations, which we'll learn how to do, even if you know nothing about an area, you have no idea who the important researchers are, what the classic works are. If you can get into that area and then search by citations, you will immediately know, here's the top article that everybody is talking about. Here's the second article. Here, you can very quickly find the top 10 articles in a field looking for these, searching by these citations. So it's a very powerful method, especially in your situation here, where you're learning about new areas of psychology, and you might not know, who are the important works. So just to kind of give you a visual of what a citation means, and just to let you know what happened to Dease. So there was Dease in 1959, and Dease wrote his article, and it should have been groundbreaking, and everybody should have been talking about it, and it should have moved the science of psychology ahead massively, but it was poorly written. You're going to have to read it. I read it. You'll read it. It's a good lesson in terms of why writing is important. but it stayed buried. It wasn't very influential. Decades later, right? This is the article you'll find. Decades later, two researchers read his article and almost literally said, let's just redo this experiment. We'll redo this experiment. We'll do another one that's a little bit different to kind of, push the research. But let's just redo this experiment. And they wrote it up, and they wrote well. They were very clear. They were very concise. They communicated effectively. So Dease got one citation. These guys said, we're using Dease. Dease is one of our sources. They wrote well, though, so somebody else said, oh, this makes sense. I'm going to cite them as a source. And so did a bunch of other people. So all of these researchers here basically said that this is an important piece of research by including it in their work. And if you don't know an area, this is a very good way to say, what does everybody else think is important? And if you know how to use citation searches, it'll lead you right back down to this classic paper, and you can do it in 10, 15 minutes easily. So that's why we're going to be working with citations. It allows you to navigate through that subject area very efficiently, even if you have no idea what that subject area is. And that is why we have those requirements. Find the most highly cited article, find an article with 30 or more citations in our library assignment. All right, so that's a preview of your library assignment. Do review how to find primary research articles, because we will encounter a lot of secondary research articles doing this assignment. Those will not count for this assignment. You need to find those primary research articles. All right, that's a library assignment.